Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and I'm always on the lookout for unique Android TV devices, and this one certainly qualifies as that. This is the Philips Kitchen TV, at least that's what they're calling it on its Amazon listing, and this pairs up a set of 16-watt stereo speakers and a 24-inch television that of course is running Android TV as its operating system. And we're going to be taking a closer look at all the good things and bad things this device is all about here in just a second. But I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that I paid for this with my own funds. All of the opinions you're about to hear are my own. No one is paying for this review, nor has anyone reviewed or approved what you're about to see before it was uploaded. So let's get into it now and see what this device is all about. Now, the price point on this is about $250, although it does go on sale from time to time, so be on the lookout for that. I was disappointed with the display that they paired up with this device. It is a nice size at 24 inches, so this would be good for a larger kitchen, I suppose, but it's only 720p, and typically at this price point you're going to get a 1080p set these days, so that was a bit of a disappointment. But from across a room, it's not going to be that big of a deal, and for a 720p set, it doesn't look all that bad, but again, I think a 1080p would have been a better fit here at the price point. The speaker bar here is fused to the display. You cannot move them independently. It is all a single unit, although it is super lightweight. I would say the whole package here is under 10 pounds, so it's not hard to move around and slide across a counter or table or something if you need to do that. So that's not too bad there. The speaker will work as a Google Assistant. So if I turn the TV off here and just issue voice commands out of the air, it will do a lot of the basics. So I could ask it, "Hey, what time is it?"
It's 3:51 p.m.
And I'll get the time. Now I could also ask it to turn the TV on, but I found that about 50% of the time it doesn't know what I'm talking about, and the other 50% of the time it does turn the television on. So as a Google Assistant, it's okay, but it's not great. You do get a little bit more functionality with the Assistant when you have Android booted up on screen, and I'll show you some things that it can do in a little bit, although it's not able to do everything Google devices allow you to do. So this is a little more limited in its Assistant. There are a lot of ports on this one. So you have a USB port here, so you can plug in memory sticks and hard drives and game controllers and keyboards. You have an antenna input here, so you can pull in over-the-air TV. It's got an integrated tuner, and I'll show you that interface in a few minutes. So you could use a network tuner like we're going to do in a minute, or just attach an antenna and you're good to go, and you can watch live TV on it. You've got an optical output here, so you could plug it into a nicer stereo system, I guess, if you wanted to. You have two HDMI ports on here, so you can plug in other things like game consoles and other HDMI devices. And then there's an Ethernet jack here, which we're using to connect it to my network, but it also has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on board too. Now, I found the sound quality out of the speaker bar to be okay. It's not audiophile quality, but it does have a good amount of bass. It's not going to be like a subwoofer, but it does have some range to it. Although I found some of the topper end audio at the higher frequencies will be a little tinny. So again, not the best speakers, but very loud and can certainly be heard across a room without issue. You do have a volume control up here. You have a microphone mute button here and a power button, so you can do some things right on the device here. There is a remote that they package in as well, kind of matches the fit and finish of the television, so you have your standard controls here. There's a button that's hardwired to the TV function app, which I'll show you in a minute, and then of course you've got your YouTube and Netflix buttons, so a little bit more than your standard Android TV remote. And you can also issue commands through the remote without having to issue the trigger word. So you can push this button and speak into the remote or shout across the room at the built-in microphone on the speaker here. Now, navigating the interface is very straightforward. It is stock Android TV, nothing fancy about it. Front and center, though, you'll have the TV app, and you can load it up by clicking on the app here or just pushing the TV button. When you do that, it's going to pull up the Android Live Channels app. And if you have an antenna attached, it will go out and find all the channels it can pick up over the air and give you a very nice channel guide here. Now, what I love about Android TV is that it works with multiple sources and it mixes them all together into a single channel guide. So as you can see here, I'm able to browse through the channels that I have available through my HD Home Run tuner. And in full disclosure, they are an occasional sponsor here on the channel. So I can jump to NECN here, which is New England Cable News. I've got an idea as to what's currently on air. And it's a really nice TV interface. And if you have an app that supports the Live Channels app, it will show up here as a source. And you can pretty much live in that live TV interface. It also has a few other cool features like time shifting, so I can pause live TV and resume it. There's not a lot of memory on this device, so there's going to be a limit to how much you can use this feature, but it's pretty cool to have all of that integrated right in. So it's pretty cool to just be able to attach an external antenna to this thing and then pull in stuff over the air and then integrate some of your other digital providers into a common interface. And again, that's one of the strengths, I think, of Android TV. Other apps here work just fine, so we can load up YouTube, for example. It does spring up pretty quickly. It feels pretty snappy too. I think that's one of the advantages of running with a 720p resolution. The little processor doesn't have to work as hard to render things on screen. And as you can see, it's pretty quick to jump in between apps once they're loaded up. And Netflix here seems to work just fine. Again, you're not going to get some crazy 4K resolution. You're going to be locked in at 720p, but by and large, most of your favorite apps will be here. The ones that I noticed that were not here are Amazon Prime Video. Apple TV is not on here, but most of the major providers should be available through the Google Play Store. Now, because the set is an official Android TV, it supports Chromecasting. And what you can do is take unsupported apps like Prime Video here, install them on a phone, and then cast from the phone to the device. So if I click on the little Chromecast icon here on the lower right-hand corner and select the kitchen TV, you're going to see that it's going to power the TV on and is now ready to accept my content requests from the app on the phone. So I can click on one of these shows my kids have been watching, hit play, and now I'm getting Amazon Prime content playing back here on the TV set. So there are some ways to circumvent apps that are not on board, provided the app has Chromecast support. Now, unfortunately, as a kitchen device, the Assistant here falls short of what you might get out of a Nest Hub from Google. So for example, on my little Nest device upstairs, I can ask the Hub for a timer, and it will give me a timer and display it on screen. If I ask it for a second timer, it will oblige and then give me both timers on screen at the same time. I've had as many of like 4 or 5 of these going at once with all different times on them, and it's been very useful for cooking in the kitchen. And you can see here me adding a third one to the mix, and it will give you all 3. Really nice and handy. Here you don't get that. So if I ask it for a timer now, give me a 10-minute timer. What will happen is it will give it to me.
Second timer for 10 minutes.
And I already set one
And we're
before.
starting now.
But I had no idea I had another timer already going because it doesn't display anything. So once the timer is set, it kind of runs in the background, but you don't know it's there until it's done. You can't see where you're at with the timer as it's going. Another issue I ran into with this is that it's not so great for recipes. So on the Google Nest Hub thing, when you ask it for a crockpot recipe, it will pull up a special interface from different providers. I can click on one here or ask it to pull one up, and then it does a nice step-by-step thing. So if I ask it now for the same thing, give me a crockpot chicken soup recipe, it will get the command correct, but it's not going to give me a special recipe interface like I might get on another Google device. I'm just going to get a bunch of YouTube results. So unfortunately, as a kitchen assistant, it falls short, which was a big bummer because I would have loved to have that little Nest Hub be larger for my size room. And unfortunately, this one's just not going to perform the same way. And it also fell short as a home-controlled device, so I was unable to get this thing to control my lights like my other Android TV boxes can do. It also wouldn't pull up my security cameras, which was a real letdown given how big the screen is on this thing. And I'm guessing at some point in the future we could get a software update to enable those things. But for something that's designed to sit in your kitchen, the fact that it doesn't work well as a kitchen assistant or a home assistant is a big letdown. Now you can also play some casual Android games on here that you might find on the Google Play Store. I was able to pair up my game controller here via Bluetooth. I did notice a bit of input lag on the Bluetooth connections here, so you might want to go in with a directly wired USB controller, but I don't think this is something that a serious game player may want to purchase. I did also use the GeForce Now service with it a little bit earlier, which is a game streaming service. So this game is not running natively on the TV. It's being streamed from NVIDIA's servers, but it worked okay with that as well. And of course, you've got the HDMI ports on the side, so you could connect up a Nintendo Switch or something else to it. Again, this is not the most responsive display, so you're going to have a little bit more input lag on this versus a more serious gaming monitor or TV. But as a casual device, I think it works pretty well for people looking to play some casual games every once in a while. All right, let's move on now to a couple of techier topics, because I know a lot of you will want to know what's going on inside of this thing. So we side-loaded CPU-Z, and we discovered that it's got a Cortex A53 processor inside, a quad-core chip. We ran the 3D Mark slingshot test a little bit earlier, and we got a score of 337, and that puts it below the performance that you might get out of a Fire TV stick or a TiVo Stream 4K or a Google Chromecast, but it's good enough, I think, for the things that this TV was designed to do. The system RAM is about 2 gigabytes. It comes in here at 1.8, so not a lot of RAM, but better than what you might see out of a cheap stick or something, so not bad there. And you saw that it was able to keep Netflix and YouTube open in the background, so we could very easily switch between them, so not bad there. It only has, though, about 4 gigabytes of internal storage, and right now I've only got about a gigabyte free after installing a couple of games and apps and whatnot. So you're going to be a little limited by the storage there, but you could, of course, attach a USB device and adopt that as internal storage if you wanted to. Now, the biggest problem I have with this device is that it's only running Android 8, so we're a couple of versions behind here. And a bigger problem is that the security patch level is from July of 2019, well over a year ago from the time that I'm recording this video. And what I'm fearful of here is that this is another one of these cheap one-off devices that a manufacturer puts out into the marketplace and never updates again. I did try and get the updates going on it. I went into the menu and clicked the update button, and there wasn't one available. I left it on overnight, hoping maybe that there's a queue it has to get into, but nope, it is stuck on Android 8, and there's no indication that this device is going to get any updates in the future on the Philips support page for the product. I hope that they do support it better than I'm seeing right now, and if they do provide a security update, maybe they can do some additional updates to its functionality, because it's not very good as a kitchen assistant or a home assistant. We couldn't get timers to display on screen, for example. We couldn't pull up my security cameras like I can on other Android TV devices, and in many ways it kind of falls short. In other areas it actually does okay. It's got that built-in tuner, which is very nice to see on something like this. The speaker here is pretty decent for a kitchen kind of device. You can use the TV just by issuing voice commands without having to pick up the remote. All of those things are pretty good, and it's doing a pretty good job running basic Android apps too. But again, as something that's being marketed as a home device in the kitchen, it doesn't do those assistant tasks the way a device like this should. And as a result, I don't think at its current price point it's something I can recommend. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Tom Albrecht, Chris Allegretta, Mike Patterson, and Bill Pomerantz. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to lon.tv/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit lon.tv/s.